Okay, so let's move on and talk a little bit about the divine masculine. I guess you're the one that sensed it, Inelia. You want to start?
Yeah, it's been quite interesting because I can feel the divine masculine kind of showing his face through the forest, like the lady of the forest, but there's this masculine energy. It started happening a few weeks ago, and this is how I started perceiving it. There were situations in my daily life, whether it was in the street or in the shops and stores, communicating with friends and relatives, people that I live with, and also, and I started noticing something different about the communication or the energy that was coming through from men. It was slightly different, and I became curious, and that curiosity aspect is something I've learned from Lucia and Victoria, because before everything would be more like information flowing through, but because they would often focus on one thing and they would go into it and follow the energy lines, that's curiosity, and I learned it. So I became curious about this energy, and then I started being sent all these videos on YouTube, or people posting things, or articles that would come up into my field of attention, and it all had to do with a different perspective from the men. It was like they were speaking differently. Their energy wasn't unconscious anymore. It was like they were becoming conscious of who they were and really empowering themselves of their true essence and what they're, or redefining, or even maybe going back to the original definition of what a masculine energy or what a man is. Yeah, so a lot of wide open hearts, very heart-centered, very extremely loving without agendas, and also a very amazing sense of maybe protection, but not in a possessive manner, but a protection of well-being, and also protection of integrity. Yeah. And also another energy that was coming through very powerfully of an essence of being needed, like an almost requirement by them to I'm here, and what can I do, type thing. And it was like a consciousness of also looking into the programs that have been really hammered into men with regards to their sexuality, their possessiveness, or their role within a patriarchal system, stepping over others, or being more powerful than other men. Or an interesting word that came through as well was yesterday, I think somebody mentioned the A.W.A.K.E.N energy, and redefining and looking at that type of programs by the men, like initiated by men. And when we were talking about it the other day with Lucia and Victoria, I can't remember who it was, but they mentioned that the female, the divine feminine, always needed to come forth first, be established, and become impeccable within the women and also the feminine side of everybody, so that then the masculine, divine masculine, was safe to come out, type thing. Yeah. So I think that moment is here. I think that we're beginning to see the beginning of that expression, yeah, at a social level, at a personal level. Of course, there's still a lot of stuff to happening, that a resistance from the egoic structures of men and women, and that's something that we're going to go through, like the bridging. But I can sense it, I can feel it, and it's popping. His head is popping from the woods, I can visualize it a little bit like the ancient druid mythical rituals of the lady Lady of the Lake, I think, or I think it was Lady of the Forest, and the Buck King. The he would come through as this male deer, I don't know, and dressed as such for their ritual. Yeah.
It's called a stag.
A stag, that's it. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name. The stag would come. He would be dressed as the stag, and that that energy of the purity of the nature and the animal kingdom within the divine masculine is healthy, and when it's healthy, when it's full of integrity, and joins with the divine feminine, I mean, the potential of ourselves as individuals, but also as a human collective, when we integrate both of these fabulous, fantastic energies that we are these energies. I mean, we have no limits as a human species. We could do anything. We could go anywhere. The entire universe is wide open for us. It's just amazing. Just tap into that energy just a little bit to see it, It's just, it has no limits. It's amazing. Yeah, that.
Yeah, you can really feel it as you're talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's extremely subtle, but it's supportive, It's almost like it's down underneath, cradling.
Yes.
The divine feminine is putting on the show at the moment.
Yes.
But the divine masculine is holding and buffering and protecting almost. I can remember talking about that when I was doing my whole women standing in their power phase, and the role of the masculine. And God, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, when we were talking about this the other day, I realized that I had just come off of a pilgrimage where there were two men that were so different from any other men that I'd experienced before. And in both of them, I really felt that divine masculine emerging. And it was just different. I mean, I was kind of amazed. So I'd had that a little bit in my personal sphere of feeling that expression of the divine masculine embodied in a male.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, yeah, it's in all of us. We all hold both the divine. That's why we decided on divine embodiment as our topic, our theme for next month, because we all have a masculine and a feminine side inside. And it's the divination of both that is part of the alchemy of the ascension process. It's just beautiful.
It's very
exciting.
Very androgynous, isn't it?
Yeah.
That energy when a man has really mastered. I have a man who's an artist here who's going to paint something in my house that I'm completing, and I had always wanted to get to know he and his partner and just never had the chance. And he came over and, just did a trial run for me, and his energy was so beautiful. I just kept going back over to the house and hanging out with him. And he listened, It was like, whoa, you listen so well. And beautiful, androgynous, soft. I mean, so balanced, this energy. And I was describing it to someone, said, yeah, that's the new man. And I went, whoa, thumbs up.